So let's take a look at the San Vicente. It's a Derby prep run at Santa Anita, the fifth race on the Saturday card. It's at 7 furlongs for 3-year-olds, and it's the beginning of their Derby prep series. You take a look at the field, and sadly, it is a small one. There's only 5, but it is pretty meaty. You've got Mackenzie Street. We've seen quite a bit on the California 2-year-old stakes trail. Barnes, named after Bob Baffert's assistant, Jimmy Barnes, who debuted at Churchill Downs in kind of an uneven debut, I would say. Romanesque, another Bob Baffert. And then we've got Smooth Cruisin', who had a pretty good maiden debut. And then Bullard for Mike McCarthy, who's undefeated and last being at 7 furlongs in the Bob Hope. So it's a small field, but it is a pretty interesting one for sure. We'll take a look at it, and really, in these 5-horse fields, it's kind of hard to throw anybody out completely. But looking at this, there were a couple of things I did find were interesting. Number one, with Mackenzie Street, his problem has been he just is awful keen out of the gate, and he just outruns himself. The fractions are always really hot, and it costs him late. No surprise there. They tried 2 turns, and he did hang on for third, but he seems right now maybe 1 turn is, for the way he runs, is a little better scenario. Interesting enough, changing jockeys to Antonio Frisu. I think KK has gone back to, I don't know if he's still at Santa Anita or not. I think he might be, but it looks to me, since he's been the only jockey for Mackenzie Street, that moving to Antonio Frisu, they're going to try to get this one to rate a little bit better. And that just is a suspicion of mine. Take it for what you will, but it's obvious that they've got to get him to be more patient. I'm surprised they didn't take the blinkers off for that reason. So I don't know necessarily that Mackenzie Street will be the one to catch. He does have good back class, and he's certainly a talented runner, but this is a small but deep field, and it may be difficult for him if he's running the way he has been to take them all the way. So I'm suspecting that they're going to try to rate him a little bit, and if that's the case, maybe he can factor in here. But otherwise, I think if he just does what he has been doing, it's going to be awful tough to take this group all the way. These smaller fields tend to work like a match race to a degree. The smaller the field, the harder they have to work throughout the race. And that, to me, says that things are going to be kind of difficult for Mackenzie Street unless he learns to rate. Now, at 10-1, you're getting some nice value. And if he can be a little more patient up near the lead, if not on it, then perhaps he has a chance to factor. But I would see him as an exotics player here. I don't see him as a viable win candidate. Now, Romanesque, to me, for Bob Baffert, of the Bafferts, I like the best. And the reason being is in his debut, he had to fight with the other Bob Baffert all the way around, and he was able to prevail. So he showed some really good grit early on. The fractions were pretty solid, and he got a nice speed figure out of it that isn't too far off what Bullard had ran in the Bob Hope. So with another step forward, which is very logical, he could be pretty tough here. I don't think he would set, if he does take the lead, if he inherits it, like I say, if Mackenzie does rate, I think he might set more reasonable fractions, and I got a feeling he could stick around. And again, if Mackenzie Street is taken back a little bit, that may open things up for Romanesque to go all the way if he can take another step forward. So to me, I like him as a win candidate from the front runners between the two for the reasons stated. Now we take a look at Barnes. I didn't like his debut at all at Churchill. He looked awful green, especially so for a Bob Baffert. You don't see them drifting out, running on the wrong lead. He looks to me like one that needs some work. Now, if you want to go and play jockey roulette, you can see that JJ is on Barnes and not Romanesque. Okay, I get it. But it also may be one of those things he wants JJ on him to help try to figure out what's going on with him and how they can get him better. Obviously, Bob Baffert will work the kinks out, and this one could certainly improve and is likely to. But at 8-5 in this race, after that debut, I'm not so sure that I want to be really confident that he is going to take that step forward. So for Barnes, if you like him, okay, but I just don't at 8-5, and I'm going to try to use him defensively, if at all. And I would rather go with ones that look more ready to run a big race at this point, and that's really the only reason. So call me crazy, but I'm going to use Romanesque instead of Barnes. Now, Smooth Cruising did something that doesn't happen in California very often, and he beat two Bob Bafferts in his debut. It was a really nice come-from-behind effort in a small field, and he showed a lot of grit coming down the stretch. For a debut, he's logical to improve second time. They've put a lot of works into him, building bottom, and if he has been off for a little while, but if he can come back and take a move forward, he should be dangerous in this field, particularly since he comes from off the pace. If he does take a move forward, he may be rating a little better, and that tactically would give him a little bit of an advantage over Bullard. But he certainly needs to improve speed-wise, and I think Bullard's just ahead of him right now. So to me, Smooth Cruising at 12-1 is more a horse I want to use underneath in the exotics and the exacta and the try. Bullard is definitely the one to beat here, and he's my selection. That Bob Hope was pretty damn impressive. He just blew right by what is a really nice horse in Matticat Road, who we just saw on opening day at Santa Anita come back. And I thought won his maiden very impressively. He just pushed the button in the stretch and boom, he was gone. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Matticat Road run next. But Bullard's got an off-the-pace running style. If McKenzie Street does revert back to his old ways, then I think that really sets things up well for Bullard. But I don't know that necessarily he needs a hot pace. Watching his two starts, looking at the running lines, he's managing his speed better with each start, and you always like to see that. Granted, these are in small fields, but it just looks to me like it's very logical he's going to take another step forward, and we already know he can handle 7 furlongs, which is always a great distance for off-the-pace runners. So to me, Bullard, very deserving favorite at 4-5. So take a look at our wagering strategy. I'm not going to do anything too imaginative in a 5-horse field. This probably is more for your sequence betting. And if so, I would single Bullard. I think it's a very logical one. But if you play this as just a race, I would just go 5-4, 5-3, and then a saver 5-1 with Romanesque, Smooth Cruising, and McKenzie Street, and leverage them accordingly. Coming from off the pace, I like Smooth Cruising to maybe get up if Romanesque, in the second start, doesn't necessarily move forward or gets burned up by McKenzie Street. It opens the door for Smooth Cruising to get up for second at odds. That fattens up the exacta. And then the trifecta, we'll just do them cold. 5-4-3, 5-3-4, and then we'll do one more with 5 on top with 1-3-4 as a saver, throwing McKenzie Street in there if, in fact, the rating strategy or however they choose to run them works out and keeps them in the money. It's entirely possible. So to me, really more than anything else, I'd have to say I'm really just against Barnes because I just didn't like that race. It does say something that Bob Baffert sent him to Churchill for his first runner, but it may be sentimental too because he is named after Jimmy Barnes. I don't know. It's hard to throw Baffert's out, but I'm just trying to look for a way to make chicken salad out of chicken shit here with a small field with a deserving short price favorite. So Bullard the pick to win, and this is the way I'm going to play the underneath. But you can mix and match with any of the other 4 for certain. And I wish you the best of luck with that. I hope our analysis helps you with your own wagering strategy. And if you do like content like this, of course, please like and subscribe. And thanks for all of you for your support. We are going to have another video on the Jerome Stakes taking place at Aqueduct this weekend, which is also a Derby prep. And we do have one out there for the Smarty Jones. So take a look at that at your leisure as well. That's it from here. I'll talk to you soon, and until then, be well.